For centuries, the story of Noah and his ark has echoed through time, told around campfires, preached in temples and churches, and depicted in art and film. It's one of the most powerful and mysterious tales ever recorded in human history. A story of faith against ridicule, obedience against corruption, and divine judgment against human arrogance. But was it just a myth, a symbolic warning to future generations, or did it actually happen? Was there truly a man named Noah who built an enormous ship to save life from a catastrophic flood? Let's dive deep into this timeless story to uncover the truth, the symbolism, and the lessons behind one of the most famous stories ever told: Noah and his ark. According to the book of Genesis, the world before the flood was very different from what we know today. Humanity had spread across the earth, but instead of living in harmony, people had become corrupt, violent, and selfish. The once perfect creation had fallen into chaos. The scriptures describe that every inclination of the thoughts of the human heart was only evil all the time. The earth was filled with violence, greed, and moral decay. People lived only for themselves, ignoring the divine laws and indulging in wickedness. The balance between creation and sin had tipped too far. The time for mercy was over, and judgment was coming. One day, God spoke to Noah. The words were terrifying, yet filled with purpose. God said that he would destroy the world with a great flood, a deluge so massive that it would wipe out all living creatures from the face of the earth. But God also gave Noah a mission, an impossible task, or so it seemed. He was to build an ark, a colossal ship that would preserve his family and two of every kind of living creature on earth. God gave him precise instructions. The ark was to be made of gopher wood, sealed inside and out with pitch to make it waterproof. Its dimensions were staggering: 300 cubits long, 50 cubits wide, and 30 cubits high, about the size of a modern aircraft carrier. The ark would have 3 decks, with rooms for the animals and a door on the side for entry. This was not a small boat. It was a floating fortress, a vessel of salvation amid a sea of destruction. For Noah, this command must have been overwhelming. There was no sea nearby, no sign of rain, no evidence of what was to come. Yet he didn't question. He didn't argue. He obeyed. Day after day, year after year, Noah labored in faith. He began to cut wood, shape the beams, and assemble the great structure. People must have thought he was insane. The idea of a world-ending flood seemed absurd, yet Noah believed that God's warning was true. As the ark neared completion, an extraordinary thing began to happen. From every corner of the earth, animals started appearing. 2 by 2 they came: lions and lambs, elephants and eagles, serpents and sparrows. For the first time, predators and prey walked side by side in peace, guided by a divine instinct to enter the ark. Some ancient texts suggest that God himself led the creatures, ensuring that each kind was preserved. Noah, his wife, his 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and their wives, prepared for the journey of survival. They gathered food and water, securing the ark for what was to come. And then, the moment arrived. The door of the ark closed, not by Noah's hand, but by God's. It was a sign that time had run out. The era of mercy was over. Judgment had begun. The Bible describes it with chilling simplicity. All the fountains of the great deep burst forth, and the windows of heaven were opened. It wasn't just rain. It was a cosmic event. For 40 days and 40 nights, the rain fell without mercy. Everything on earth perished, every man, woman, and creature that was not within the ark. The same water that brought destruction to the world brought safety to Noah and his family. Inside the ark, The sounds must have been deafening, the roar of thunder, the crash of waves. But Noah trusted. He had obeyed, and that obedience carried him through the storm. After 40 days, the rain stopped, but the world remained submerged. The ark floated over a silent ocean that covered even the tallest mountains. For 150 days, the waters dominated the earth. Then, slowly, they began to recede. The ark came to rest on the mountains of Ararat, a range believed to be located in modern-day Turkey. As the floodwaters began to retreat, Noah opened a window and sent out a raven. The bird flew back and forth, finding no place to rest. Then Noah sent out a dove. The first time, it too returned. But the second time, it came back with an olive leaf in its beak, a sign that the earth was healing. Finally, when the dove didn't return at all, Noah knew the land was dry again. After over a year aboard the ark, the door was opened, and Noah's family stepped out into a completely new world. Imagine that moment, the air fresh, the silence profound, the earth reborn after judgment. Noah's first act wasn't to build a home or plant crops. It was to build an altar, a symbol of gratitude and worship. He offered sacrifices to God, and the Lord was pleased. Then came a promise that would define humanity's relationship with the divine forever. God said, "Never again will I destroy all life by the waters of a flood." And to seal that promise, he placed a rainbow in the sky, a symbol of mercy, hope, and a covenant that endures to this day. But beyond the literal story, Noah's Ark carries deep symbolism. It's a story about renewal, of how destruction can lead to rebirth, and how obedience can lead to salvation. Noah lived 350 years after the flood, witnessing the rebirth of civilization. His sons and their descendants went on to populate the world once again. Shem's lineage, according to the Bible, would eventually lead to Abraham, David, and ultimately Jesus Christ, making Noah not just a survivor, but a cornerstone of human spiritual history. The Ark reminds us that survival is not just about building walls, it's about building faith. It teaches us that even in the darkest times, one person's obedience can change the course of humanity. When we look at the rainbow today, we don't just see light refracted through water. We see a promise, a reminder that destruction is never the final word, and that renewal is always possible. So, the next time rain falls and a rainbow stretches across the sky, remember Noah, remember the Ark, and remember that no matter how violent the storm may be, there is always a refuge for those who believe, for those who build, and for those who trust in the promise of something greater.